Hi guys, DevilHunterXYZ, and kind of continuing on where I left off with the trophies, kind of discussing my trophy list, and yeah, I'd say just kind of going through some of these trophies kind of gets me almost in the mood to go back and play some of these again because I haven't done that and I haven't played some of these games in quite some time. And I probably should. Anyway, left off with Gravity Rush 2. Which Gravity Rush 2 was pretty expansive comparing it to the very first game anyway. It was really expansive considering it basically in Gravity Rush 2 you had the whole new city of you have the whole new you have the Banga settlement for one thing, but you had Jirga Power Lao, and then you also go back eventually to the Hexaville. And I think really it expanded. I think the number of missions was about the same, but I think it had like a whole lot of side missions. I remember that because I think side mission wise or extra mission wise, because there was only like 3 side missions, or maybe 6 technically. I think there was only 6 in the original game, but here there was like 40 or 50 side missions, maybe close to 60. It was a lot. But a lot of stuff just required you to. A lot of the stuff required you to. Yeah, a lot of stuff just required you to get certain upgrades, certain attacks, kill off certain enemies. Mining instructions to reach the 3rd layer of the Devil Mining Trench. Ugh. Yeah, well, the Devil Mining Trench was. It was kind of a exclusive mode, kind of near the end of the game, which had like a whole mining section. There was like a whole mining aspect to this game, so to speak. Gathering some of the gems. But the things though, in the Devil Trench mines, there lies like the most challenging set of enemies, and if you're not prepared, yeah, you're gonna get yourself killed pretty easily. And honestly, I would, before even tackling the Devil Trench mine, I would highly recommend waiting until you at least get your Panther transformation, because there's really no other way to heal yourself. If you get lucky to even find any healing crystals, healing gems, that'd be pretty rare. But I in my experience, I've never found a single healing gem, so I ended up having to wait till Panther mode because that's the only way to help you regain health. And when it comes to the trench mine, you gotta be spending a lot of time going in and out, just finding even the right time to even have access to get into the trench mine. So it's almost like playing on the game schedule. Anything else? Complete all challenges with a gold or better. Okay, equip 3 talismans. The talisman system didn't really seem to matter that much because I didn't really experience anything too. I didn't really have any real gain of power or defense or anything like that with the talismans. It was something, but not really necessary. Discover every manhole. 60,000 precious gems. Okay. 5 giant Navi. Yeah, so for the most part, it's completing a bunch of these challenges, really. And doing some of these, completing the chapters themselves, which takes some time. Then it also had the DLC, the Arc of Time. Originally, the Arc of Time was supposed to be paid DLC. I remember that, and I think the DLC. Well, no, the main game, Gravity Rush 2, I believe it was actually had a small delay, unfortunately. So I guess to make up for the lost time, I guess the developers decided to include the Arc of Time DLC as free for everyone. So that's good. But essentially, with this one, you're playing as the game takes place before the events of the second game of this game, and this one you're playing as Raven, and having to try to wake up the children in the Ark, which was kind of something that was established in the first Gravity Rush story-wise. So it's kind of more going more in depth as to what happened before the events, between the events of 1 and 2. And mean, I guess only here maybe personal space. On the keepers of light and darkness without running into anyone. That's one thing. And then I think there was another one which required you to found all the scattered memories. Yeah, found all the memories scattered in the labyrinth, which that one required you to go a lot of outside of the main objective and explore the areas just to find the lost memories or so. And of course also Unrivaled. Recover a memory without Lumino or Tenebria around to interfere. Yeah, so it's it was kind of more playing on Raven's past really for this game. So I kind of did like that one. Alright, then you have Tekken 7. Which, I mean, I kind of like Tekken 7. It, granted, though, comparing to Tekken 6 in terms of, like, you know, in terms of quantity that they had, I mean, there was, like, a lot more stuff to do in Tekken 6 than 7, unfortunately. But, you know, you got stuff like winning online matches, online battle tournaments, fought 10 matches, treasure battle. Then, of course, you have the main story, which honestly the story mode is pretty short. Well, pretty short, albeit if you're doing the extra chapter at the end, which required you to fight against Akuma. And at that point, that is kind of one of the more BS matches I've ever had. Chapter 10, 50,000 points in damage in practice. Yeah, beat Akuma in arcade. But you can beat him in arcade or special match. That's one. Beat Devil Kazumi. Special matches. Perfect victory. So I guess you had to go take it personally. So excluding offline and battle, so you had to do this online apparently. Achieve a great victory. Dealt 10 homing attacks. Dealt a 70 hit air combo. Perform 3 10 hit combos. Triggered 10 screws. So I mean, you had to do well. This is excluding the versus battle, though. That's the thing. So I guess technically you could do it offline, but not in versus. Stun gun, promoted. What else they have here? Finished a special chapter of the main story. Yeah, the one where you had to. Yeah, that was the one you had to defeat Akuma at the end. Which again, it was pretty BS considering you're going against a computer-controlled character that's obviously able to block whenever, and it was pretty insane. Especially, I ended up having to beat it on the hardest difficulty. Yeah, I had to beat it on the ultra difficulty. Well, I didn't have to. You could technically beat it on in easy if you want, but I ended up beating it on ultra for the sake of getting one of the titles, and that one was almost impossible. It was like damn near impossible. I mean, I must have spent 3 hours, like 2 or 3 hours, just even going that one match, just trying to find the best opportunity to do counterattacks and stuff like that. And all the while, Akuma's dishing out nothing but Hadokens and constantly regenerates its health. So, pretty insane. I expected to die. Which, actually, I just recently played that one again for DLC, added DLC, but the whole premise of this one is you're a secret agent doing various objectives, and it's mostly kind of based on trial and error, kind of hence the name I Expect You to Die, because the game doesn't tell you flat out what you need to do. You have to figure that out on your own, but again, it's mostly trial and error as to what you should be doing first, or what can be done. But, you know, for the most part, I think the only thing is just finding all the souvenirs. The souvenirs essentially are like special things that you can perform within each of the missions themselves. Well, along with that, but then they also included the speed run challenge, where you had to go through a mission as quickly as possible, which some of them were easier than others, unfortunately. But yeah, you had to get to the point for the speed run, so you have to memorize what you need to do, try to find shortcuts, and you know, you kind of have to like get yourself prepared ahead of time, doing a lot of multitasking. I mean, you can't just sit around doing one thing. You got to be doing other things in the meantime. But yeah, it was a pretty good game. I did like it. As at this point, you only have trophies for the four basic missions, which at the time was like cost me like about $30, I think. But as of now, there's actually 7 missions into the game, so I think it's more worth the money at this point. Knack 2, which, you know, it's the improvement anyway. I mean, combat is a little bit more better. I think the missions are a little bit more memorable, to be honest. And in and of itself, I'd say was a slightly better game. Although a lot of people argued Knack 2 is what the first Knack should have been, which I guess in hindsight, yes, I could probably see that. Like some of the mechanics, some of the gameplay elements should have been in the first game. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Okay, it's a Knack out. Clear all chapters on hard difficulty. If I remember, they had easy, normal, hard, and I think they even had very hard difficulty, kind of like before. Then you have medals. Well, yeah, we got this one here, Sucker for Punishment. Clear one chapter on very hard. I think in the end, I ended up just going through the entire game on very hard just to punish myself. Acquired 70 Knack medals, which I don't remember that one. Achieve 5 stars in every time attack, 5 stars in every Coliseum attack. I think the Knack medals were some currency that you get throughout the game for doing certain things. I think it's been a while, honestly. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which a lot of people say this was the worst Call of Duty in existence. I would have to say it's different. I wouldn't say I hate it, but I wouldn't say I like it either. It was just there. But I mean, a lot of stuff. Weirdly, there was no intel for this one. It's just completing missions, doing a lot of the side missions for the most part. I think even having to go through beat the game on veteran, which was a little bit challenging. But actually, even besides veteran, they even also had a couple more modes added to it. They had specialist mode, which what that one is. They basically made it where you have to have additional helmets and stim shots to regenerate your health, and you have to have additional helmets to have on hand in case your helmet breaks or whatever. So that's the thing, you had to keep. You had to kind of manage more of your inventory that way. That's kind of the thing. And then they also had a YOLO mode, which basically gave you. Well, it's YOLO. You had to complete the entire game in one sitting. You die once. You got to start from the very beginning. Never done it. I never really tried to even attempt to do it. As the game itself is long as is. I mean, even without doing the side missions, side objectives, just doing those missions though, the main missions, that's still gonna take about a good 4 hours. Campaign, 4 or 5 hours, and also the difficulty is still set on like specialist, so you gotta have to manage inventory as well. Then they have zombies in Spaceland. Unlocking David Hasselhoff with the code, which required you to basically go through and completing the main Easter egg itself just to get the code to unlock him. Play every arcade game at least once. Play 30 games and get to scene 10 or higher. I remember Dominion was glitched up for me for some time. It's so simple, just winning 5 multiplayer matches, but it was glitched up, so I think it took me a few days, and I ended up having to go through about almost 20 matches for this to even register. Then you have the Sabotage DLC, which the DLCs here were mostly just focusing on the zombies mode. So you have the Raid from the Redwoods. So again, getting the Soul Key, which essentially required you to beat, Locksmith here, just requiring you to actually beat the main Easter egg to unlock Kevin Smith. Find the hidden songs, complete the photo collection again, pack a punch, earn all the camp badges, kill the slasher with his own weapon, which this one required you to again beat the main Easter egg. Continuum DLC, we just want to give you the Shaolin Shuffle, and kind of the same thing here. Find, well, Shaolin Shuffle, collect all the bios for AJ, Andre, Poindexter, and Sally, which this required you to really get information for each of the characters from Pam Grier, time to time. I remember Coin Op, complete the Skull Buster. Well, throughout each of the zombies maps, there's a special arcade machine that focuses on you destroying skulls, and kind of like an arcade-esque style, and the first two weren't necessary. The Ghost and Skulls 1 and 2 weren't necessary, but the third one, Skull Buster, yeah, unfortunately you had to go through it. But Skull Buster in itself is like a separate Easter egg that you have to complete on its own, a whole new set of steps to find. Of course, beat the Rat King at all. Defeat the final boss with the special guest, who can't agree for that one. Max out all chi abilities in a single game. The end of the journey is blah blah blah. Okay. Build all craftable items. Collect all newspaper clippings. Absolution gave you the attack of the radioactive thing, which kind of also gave you Elvira, Mistress of Darkness. So, Mistress of the Dark. Anyway, collect the soul key. Beat the main Easter egg. Of course, I had this one here, defeat complete Skull Hob, which was the 4th arcade game for that one. Assemble the MAD, Modular Atomic Disintegrator. Enter the Bob codes correctly on the first try. Don't mess up with that one. Wait, this one took a while though. Your Diary. Listen to all Willard's personal recordings, which required you to play with certain characters and have to get to certain points in the game. But I mean, I had to go through the first few minutes of the game, like each of the first few minutes of the game, like multiple times just to even get that one. Retribution gave you Beast from Beyond, which kind of is a little bit of a throwback to Extinction because it does bring back the cryptids. Then of course I have Skullbreaker. Yeah, Skullbreaker. With the Venom X. Oof, God, remember this one. Decryption. Pack a punch, did Venom X twice, which may seem easy, but it requires, again, a whole new set of steps, which requires a lot of Morse code. So I would recommend maybe doing this one solo, but yeah, it requires you to do a lot of sets of Morse code to even try to figure that out. I'm not kidding. That one took so long. I got kind of really lucky when I tried to get the Venom X, the Venom Z. Kill enemies with every trap. Restored Neil. Send the turnstile back to the past. So I got the same turnstile that was from... yeah, because there was a turnstile item back in Shaolin Shuffle, so I guess you're technically returning that to the past. Get a 10... Build a combo of size 10 or larger in the Skull Breaker. And of course beat the main Easter egg. Surprisingly, there was nothing for beating the super boss at the end of it all. It's kind of surprised, really. Alright, so Evil Within 2, which kind of... It kind of goes more for like an open world type style for this time around as opposed to just mission base. But, I mean, going back to the stem is one thing. Defeating certain enemies and stuff like that. I kind of see what special stuff here. Yeah, there were some side missions to complete in the game itself, but I don't think it was nothing really too memorable, to be honest. Get your first red gel. Completely upgrade all abilities. Upgrade a weapon to level 3. Yeah, you can upgrade weapons. I think the only thing, talk to Kidman. I'm just saying the only thing really memorable, to be perfectly honest, was maybe you asked for it again. Complete the game on classic mode. And compared to difficulty, compared to Akumu difficulty, it's not as difficult, but the stipulation for classic mode is weapons, well, the ammo and items, stuff like that, are very scarce. And also, you only have 7 saves for the entire game. And yeah, consider the game is like 14 chapters long. You're gonna have to. The best way to do this is just somehow spacing out 2 chapters at a time and doing a save. But yeah, you have to almost essentially go through just very limited saves, very limited resources. And I think maybe even the enemies were a little bit more challenging. Because I think the enemies were able to even run faster, I think. But that was kind of on the... I mean, again, compared to Akuma, this was a little bit easier. Not by much, but it was a little bit easier. Resident Evil 7, which was, I'd still say, one of the best VR games for PlayStation, if those who've never even attempted yet. I mean, it was a pretty good one, going for a first-person view on VR, going through the house itself. I mean, I would highly recommend for those who never even played Resident Evil 7 to give this a shot. But obtain all the antique coins in easy and normal difficulty. Yeah, there was 2 sets of coins, because I think there's only about 18 coins or so in the easy and normal, and then the Madhouse difficulty had like 30 or so. Read all the files. Complete the game in 4 hours. Complete the game without opening the item box more than 3 times. Complete the game using only 3 first aid meds. Which, surprisingly, I was able to do all of these 3 at the same time. Granted, on easy mode, but you can technically do all of these 3 at the same time, which kind of helps you cut back on repeated playthroughs. So that was kind of good. Destroy the statuettes. That one. I think that was pretty much it. I mean, besides having beat the game on Madhouse difficulty. Well, of course, at the time, I got the pre-order bonus that allowed me to unlock Madhouse immediately. And, but granted, I wouldn't jump right into Madhouse immediately, though. Got the banned footage stuff. Which... Night Terror, Bedroom. Well, I mean, essentially with Night Terror, Nightmare and Night Terror, it's basically kind of the closest thing you get to Mercenaries. It's kind of survival mode on its own, but it only lasts for like 5 rounds though. I remember Ethan Never Dies, where you had to complete Ethan Must Die mode, which that one required you. It's like a whole path where you start outside the house. You have to travel inside the entire house, making your way into the secret lab that was down in the basement. And then you basically having to work your way all the way around the house, avoiding obstacles, avoiding enemies, avoiding traps, and having to get the key that was near kind of the start of the game in the main dining room area. You had to get a special key for the greenhouse. And you had to work your way all the way back to the greenhouse, and then you had to face off against Marguerite. And this all has to be done in a single attempt. And the thing is, it's a little bit random as to what weapons and items you're going to be getting. So sometimes you might be lucky and get the best stuff, sometimes you not be lucky and get some of the worst equipment. But yeah, it was a pain. Volume 2, I remember... gotta know when to hold them, being 21, which it's kind of more of a simplified version of... Think of it as kind of like Blackjack, if it was run under the Saw games. But, I mean, doing Survival Plus, you had to essentially go through 10 rounds 10 rounds, and the thing is, you're kind of strapped up into an electrical machine with multiple. You have up to like 10 levels of pain, whatever. And if you reach this to level 10, you're dead. So you have to make sure that you had to kind of manage your bets, but at the same time, you got to get lucky. That's the best way to do it. Yeah, and I guess really counting cards can somewhat help you out with this one. Got the daughter stuff. Clear. Okay, 55th birthday. The 55th birthday stuff, that was kind of a little bit more similar to Mercenaries. We've got the 2 endings for the daughter stuff. End of Zoe. The end. Yeah, it wasn't until later on, I think. It wasn't. Yeah, because originally, the End of Zoe and Not a Hero DLC. Well, I know Not a Hero was supposed to have been out in the spring, but it got delayed to like almost near the end of the year. That following year. End of Zoe, you're playing as Joe Baker. Having to go through. You're basically just having to go through finding out what happened to. You're trying to find a cure for Zoe. She's in like a comatose type state under like a chrysalis type state. So you're trying to find a cure for that. Of course, eventually you do end up going up against Jack. Of course, complete using no weapons. That was kind of a tough one. And of course, complete on Joe Must Die. Not a Hero. Only 2 things here, just beating the game normal and beating the game professional, which huge difference between normal and professional. Yeah, because professional, there's like whole new sets of obstacles to get through, and also you're more limited on supplies. But but it was kind of a fun thing though, going back to playing as Chris Redfield, even though he looks completely different, but it is the same Chris. All right, Demon Gaze 2. Yeah, sequel to the first Demon Gaze. A lot longer though. I think it took me it took me like almost 200 hours on just my first playthrough. Granted, I was trying to do everything. And then unfortunately at the very end of it all, I was supposed to be getting a special type sword. But the game ended up glitching out on me, unfortunately, because I didn't have the right sword in my inventory, which I was so peeved by that, unfortunately. Oh my god. I mean, it didn't really matter too much because honestly, the sword at that point, they upgraded sword, the best sword. It may have pretty good power, but honestly, I don't think it was really necessary. What was really the point? Since I completed the entire game and went through all the challenges, through all the boss fights. Astral Blade. Yeah, it had some of the returning characters from the first game. But, I mean, for the most part, it was a pretty enjoyable game, though. It was. But again, granted, it's on the difficult side, so I really wouldn't recommend this being one of your first picks for an RPG. Then I have Devil May Cry. Well, I bought the HD collection for the PS4, so I don't know. Maybe I just wanted more trophies. But I was also a huge fan to see what difference that they had. There was some visual difference with the first game, I do admit that. Which took some time to get used to. That and also took some time to get used to the controls, because they were using the modern controls for this Devil May Cry. Sadly, I was used to the Japanese controls where, where triangle was the jump, circle was the sword, X was to confirm, and all that stuff. I was so used to doing that, so it took me a while just to break out of that habit. I think really the only memorable one, probably I Read You Like a Book. I had to go through, unlock every enemy file entry, which some of them were easy to unlock, some of them were pretty quick, and some of them required you. Well, some of them required you to even play on the Dante Must Die mode just to get them to use certain techniques for them to register. So, I mean, I guess combine that with, I guess you could technically combine it with that, I guess. Of course, getting all the 50,000 red orbs, getting all the blue orbs, maxing out the health, getting all the weapons. Finished the game without using yellow orbs, which is pretty doable. clear a mission without taking damage, which there are a few missions that are literally just like, there were a few missions that were just literally a couple of minutes long that you could easily do that one. Honestly, well, of course, achieve an S rank on any mission, but I don't think there was anything required you to S rank every mission. Just finding out all the secret missions themselves. Devil May Cry 2, which unfortunately is kind of the black sheep of the family, but defeat Dante's Daimon difficulty. Finish the game with Trish, which you unlock her after beating hard mode on either Dante or Lucia's game. I love how they say complete a secret mission. There are technically no secret missions. They call them secret rooms, not missions. Then, of course, getting to, well, over 9,000. Nice Dragon Ball Z meme right there. But, yeah, reaching to level 9,000 Bloody Palace, which... it's mind-numbingly slow and repetitive, fortunately, considering the enemies have so much health. I wouldn't say it's too difficult, it's so slow. And I think it took me roughly about like 5 hours just to even get to level 9,000. So, oh my god, it took forever. Achieve an S rank with Dante, S rank with Lucia, which those were kind of challenging on its own because S ranking in Devil May Cry 2 is really strict. As, yeah, to get an S rank, you had to have either 4 S's and a B or 3 S's and 2 A's in order to get an S rank. And I mean, it grades you on it heavily grades you for like time, stylish points, orbs, items used, and any damage you've taken. And it's pretty strict. Like you had to get like a certain number of S rank combos, but somehow be fast to do that. And at the same time, not take any damage, because I think even taking 1 hit drops you down to an A. Maxing out the health bar, collecting the fragments, beating certain bosses, yada yada yada. S rank combo. Take Heart Lucia, collect all the double hearts. Technically, Lucia does have more hearts than Dante, because they had the whole heart-based system for your double trigger, which gave you certain abilities, certain effects, and certain elementals. And then, weirdly in between, I was finishing up Half Genie Hero, Shantae Half Genie Hero, which I'd say was a pretty decent game. Which, even though I know there's a 5th game out there, I don't know if the 5th game is even out on consoles or anything. I know it's out on iOS, I think, or maybe like Android, whatever. But Half Genie Hero, beating the game, getting 100%, and I think at one point required you to save the day as fast as possible, achieve 100% completion as fast as possible. I think I got those at the same time. But I think also... Well, because okay, well, I guess technically... Getting 100% completion... Yeah, well, I basically had to combine the fact that you had to go through the game as fast as possible, but also 100%. I mean, you could technically do it that way. Well, you kind of have to do it that way to get that trophy, 100% as fast as possible, which I think in that case was trying to beat the game in like about 2 hours, I think. Which, if you know what you're doing, it's not that bad. Pirate Queen's Quest. This one here, you get to play as Risky Boots, and all the windscreens. Kind of the same thing with the windscreens. You have to go through the game. I mean, there are 4 windscreens. Beating the game with 100%, beating the game as fast as possible, and then beating the game with 100% as fast as possible. So, I think really, I typically just beat the game once to get the idea of what I need to do, and then I'll go all in and just do it the 100% as fast as possible. Luckily, it does stack. All the ending screens do stack. Branch to the end, kind of the same thing. Well, you get to play as Shantae's friends, Bolo, Sky, and Roddy Tops. Collect all the dream squids. Again, attending all the wind screens at the end of it all. Then they had the costume pack, which this one kind of had a throwback to the they had the whole throwback to the ID Switch Force, whatever the game was, another Way Forward game. What they call Officer Mode. We had to switch blocks. The Ninja Mode, which I think is probably one of my favorite ones. Then they had Beach Mode added into it. So, for the most part, I honestly did like this game. Like this set of trophies anyway. Yeah, I mean, I actually did like this set of trophies, especially Ninja Mode. It was kind of really fun speeding away through the entire game. But you know what they did? They did actually add it in Jammies mode. I remember that. They added in Jammies mode. Another mode added to it. They added like a couple of new modes, but for some reason they didn't have any trophies for it. Which is weird, but besides the costume pack, they had like Jammies mode added into it, which kind of plays similar to the beach mode, and I say it's a little bit more simpler. I don't know. They had some additional stuff there. Devil May Cry 3. Yeah, kind of the best. A lot of people say it's the best. I say it's the best in the series. But completing secret missions, honor enemies, completing Bloody Palace, which can be easily done with a super character. Achieve S rank on any mission. Achieve S rank on all missions on any difficulty. I'd say just stick to easy mode. Let's see. Defeating certain bosses. Purchasing all Devil Arm skills. Well, path less travel. Clear every mission on Yellow Orb mode. Yeah, there are technically two modes. There's Gold Orb and Yellow Orb. Well, I guess it's what it's called path less travel, because really, I don't think many people will bother going with Yellow Orb mode unless they want a challenge, but I mean, most people will stick with the Gold Orb since you can be revived on the spot with Gold Orbs. And technically, Yellow Orbs only just allow you to restart from checkpoints, but the Gold Orb mode automatically allows you to do it anyway. You can, if you do die, you can choose to revive yourself, or you can choose to restart from a checkpoint anyway. So, I guess it's just added difficulty, probably. Reach certain styles, max out guns, health bar. But yeah. Finished the game as Virgil. Of course, I had to go through difficult modes here. Cube 2. Kind of expanding from the first Cube game, you know, the puzzle-based physics game using cubes. Really, for the most part, it's just beating the game. There really isn't anything here too useful. I mean, maybe destroy a green cube, propel yourself over 100 feet off the ground, which I kind of fun when doing. But honestly, everything else here, it's just completing the game. Detroit's Become Human, kind of another attempt from Quantic Dreams, so kind of similar to Heavy Rain, basically playing a different set of characters, completing certain, going through certain story objectives with each character, with their own individual stories. And I mean, it was a pretty fun game, I did admit that. I would probably say, I would recommend this one too, honestly. It kind of makes you think overall on how, you know, the perspective on machines and how you can build on, is it possible to build a friendship with humans and machines, but kind of also leaning towards the fact that maybe machines have about to take over our lives in a way. I don't know, maybe it gets you thinking too much, but I'm trying to see anything hopefully memorable here. Don't lose any fight before reaching the end, which requires you to go through fighting. Any points where you had to fight, you had to make sure not to lose any fights. I think you can technically miss button prompts, but as long as you don't lose the fights at the very end of it all. Find every magazine in the game. Finished the game once. Spend 20,000 bonus points. This one took a while. Everyone is alive at the end, and survivors. Okay, but the thing with survivors is, the main three characters had to survive, but along with that, also some of the side characters had to survive too. Like, if any of the side characters died, that somehow voided the trophy as well, which was weird. As the game doesn't say that, it just says everyone is alive at the end. But yeah, there's like a whole strategic way of playing the game where you can actually save everyone and everyone survives at the end of it all. Onrush, which I like to say is the updated version of MotorStorm, but it's not really much of a racing game as this is a co-op based objective racing type experience. I don't know how to really put it. It's not really racing, getting from start to finish, doing laps or whatever. But it's almost like a team battling car game, something like that, with doing objectives. But reach player level 5, Form Crush, Vomit Comet action. I think the Vomit Comet was basically like having you spin multiple times in the air, which I took some time to find the right place to do that in. Personalize all 12 characters, all 8 classes. Earn 50 Hunter medals. Unlock Superstar, unlock Snowbound. 50 checkmates, reach level 30. Max out your Superstar rating. Earn 100 gold. I think your items. I think eventually you did have to go through and finish the entire mode itself, but I think also I don't think it was necessary, but I think you had to technically do certain challenges, getting certain star challenges done. Doom VFR. I never played Doom, but this is the closest I'm gonna get. But overall, though, it's a short experience. I mean, if you ever played the 2016 version of Doom, I guess it plays similar to that. But with single game at any difficulty, collect all the Doom guys. That's took some time trying to find all the hidden items. I mean, because I ended up having to go through a bunch of YouTube videos just to even find out where they are, because it could be anywhere. Mega Man X Legacy Collection. It basically has the first 4 X games, which I kind of think this is probably the better one, the better section compared to the second volume of the X Legacy Collection. But anything here, I guess learn the Hadouken in Mega Man X, which, it's kind of a weird thing because you have to get all the items with X, go to the Armadillo stage, get to the very end, kill yourself 4 times, and then that somehow unlocks the capsule to get the Hadouken. Try to see here. Get all the pieces in X2, gather parts, learn the Shoryuken, the Shoryuken in X2. Same thing, gotta get all the parts in X2, heart tanks, armor pieces, sub tanks, and then it was near one of the final stages. There's like a hidden passageway that gives you a portal that gives you the Shoryuken. For X3, destroy Mark II's right armor. Wow, Mark II's right armor. Obtain all 4 right armor chips. Reach by without a right armor, and without 8 of special weapons. Tempting with bit. Okay, so I mean, reaching the special areas. Obtain a hyper chip. Obtain 4 pieces. Get the beam saber. Well, getting the beam saber, I think it requires you to. I think getting the beam saber required you to kill off Bile early on in the game, and then after that, near one of the final stages, you have the ability to switch as 0. Because technically, this is the first game that allowed you to play as Zero, but he's like a glass cannon. There's like, why even bother? But there's one sub-boss fight where you can play as Zero. You beat him, Zero dies, but he gives you the beam saber, and that's it's not an insta kill, but it does massive amount of damage, especially the bosses. I mean, just one hit from the beam saber can take off about maybe 2/3 of the health of a boss. And luckily, you don't have to be at like max health to even use it. Defeat Kaiser Sigma without the hyper chip. Yeah, so unfortunately, I had to beat the game numerous times with X3. Okay. X4, get all fully charge shot every X weapon. Use all of Zero's techniques and all the stuff. Use the right armor against Magma Dragoon. Love a strike. I think anything useful here. Complete all X challenges with complete an X challenge with X Buster. You can easily do that with the first challenge. But I think really enjoyable just complete X challenge, all the X challenge stages. So yeah, complete all X challenge stages. Luckily, you don't have to do it on hard because I've never even done it on hard. I think I've only done like the first stage on hard, and after that it just seemed very difficult, like a lot of pattern recognition. Legacy Collection 2, basically X5 through X8, and blast through the credits like usual. I think I hated this one. Fire the Enigma and detonate the colony, which is a huge, it's just huge RNG for that, as it rarely ever happens. It extremely rarely ever happens for the Enigma being able to destroy the colony. It's possible, I guess, but it rarely ever happens. I think I had to restart the damn game like almost like 30 times just to even get this one to work. Like, I even tried different combinations, like trying it on Rookie Hunter mode. I tried to do an easy mode. I tried a bunch of things. Tried different characters. I was thinking if anything can help me stack against that. Or try to defeat it with one boss, getting some of the upgrades, but not all the upgrades for the Enigma Cannon. I don't know. Defuse 7 consecutive bombs in Spiral Pegasus stage. Okay. Complete Zero Stage 1 without using Dark Hold. Not be earning Rookie Hunter. Yeah, that one was tough. It's kind of paying homage to the Quick Man stage in Mega Man 2, I think, where you had the insta-kill lasers. And trying to navigate through that without using Dark Hole was pain. Okay. Obtain the ultimate armor from the light capsule. View all the endings, which there are... well, I guess technically there are 4 endings, I get. Well... There's beating the game as X. Right, there's beating the game as X, beating the game as Zero. Having Zero be corrupted. So maybe there was only 3 endings. I think. I think maybe there's only 3 endings. Trying to see here. Unfinished business, X6. Encounter all 8 afflicting nightmare phenomena. Defeat an enemy using the ultimate armor. Defeat an enemy using Black Zero. Raise your hunter rank to GA. Let's see what else they had here. I think there was one complete Sigma. Let's see. With operator for X7. Listen to all support calls. Yeah. Okay, that was the fun part about that. Rescue all the Replords in X7. Upgrade 100% power rating characters. X8. Getting the armor pieces. Having the playable characters. Getting Black Zero, Nova Strike. Defeating the game. normal, higher difficulty. Of course, encounter involved 4 times, but other than that, I'd say, yeah, I think of course we got additional stuff for the X challenges once again. All right, Rocket League. Okay, for Rocket League, you got standard stuff. Basically, just unlocking skins, cars, doing stuff like making saves, making goals. The only thing here I'd probably say it would just collect the 50 items, 150 items, which took some time to get across. A lot of things to unlock. Utopia Coliseum had its own thing for some reason. I guess the only challenging thing was probably winning, scoring an aerial goal, maybe. Supersonic Fury. Supersonic Fury, I think, probably just drive 10 kilometers with either set of wheels. There really wasn't anything too special about it. Or use burnout or nitrous boost for a total of 10 minutes. We go around the track just boosting around. Adventure the battle cars. Do a handicap match. Let's see. I guess really nothing here. Maybe win against all-star bots. Chaos Run. Win a 4v4 online match. And I would say probably scoring 10 goals, but make 50 total shots on goal. Nothing too special here. Neo Tokyo, which kind of focuses a lot on the snow day stuff. I think the only thing here was just getting the, well, win with 30 seconds left in the hoops game. Took some time. Collected a painted item. These were just luck based. Getting a painted and increase the level of a certified item. I don't even know how that really even works. Earn veteran level on that one. It wasn't. There's not even anything that lets you know what veteran level for an item really is. Aquadome. I would say this one right here. Make 535 shots on goal. 535, which took a long time. I even kind of had to take breaks in between just to even get through that one. Drop Shot. Drop Shot had the weird panel breaking game, which, I mean, it was kind of fun for a while, but it kind of gets it kind of gets a little bit unfair after a while, because it's like whoever gets hit badly first usually doesn't seem to last. Champions Field. Yeah, Champions Field. Just having to do stuff in the Champions Arena, but trade and receive one or more items with another player. Trade in 5 high quality items. This is when they had the revamped trading system. Clubs update, which I kind of hated. You had to have people join in on your club. Play complete 10 matches with 1 or more club mates. Earn MVP in online tournaments. Yeah, there's like an online tournament on that for some weird reason. Unfortunately, I think this one I had to break down and actually go on a community just to have people help me with that one. Alright, Root Letter. I mean, recently I kind of just I completed the last answer version, but Root Letter is essentially a visual novel where you're going around trying to track down your pen pal, but kind of getting involved into a somewhat of a murder mystery type scenario. But nothing really too special here, just really completing everything, checking stuff like that. Find Shima Neko 10 times, which is a little side quest on its own. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, kind of the appetizer course for the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. It kind of goes for more of an 8-bit style here. I said the only thing memorable here was probably defeat every boss in Boss Rush, which a little bit challenging as you are limited on items. and you know, having to go through the whole boss rush, every single boss in the game. Yeah, it's kind of it took some time. Hatsune Miku VR Future Live. Weirdly, the base game is free, but you still have to buy the expansions because I don't know why to make base games free when you can't really do anything in the base game. But for the most part, it's just obtaining all the module cards, triggering all the stage sync effects. That's kind of how it is for all the stage levels. First, second, third stage. Tearaway. Well, the Vita version apparently is a little bit different from the PS4 version, but I never played the PS4 version. But with the Tearaway, it's using a lot on the Vita's capabilities, you know, comes to like photo manipulation, stuff like that. But with Tearaway, take a photo in each chapter. That's kind of one thing. Finish the game. Dispatch all the scraps. Collect all hidden presents. 100% complete the game. Yeah, I mean the game itself is not too difficult. It's actually, I'd say it's actually on the easier side, but it does have some unique charm to it. Devil May Cry 5. With Devil May Cry 5, it goes back to the original series of Devil May Cry, but I mean, having the three main characters, Nero, Dante, and V, trying to track down and defeat Urizen. And really, probably, where's Highway to Hell? Complete Hell and Hell difficulty. Let's see. Anything memorable here? Getting a triple S combo, defeat 5 enemies in 1 second. Unfortunately, there's no holy water in this game. Oh, God. Worthy of legend. Clear all missions with an S rank on every difficulty, except Heaven or Hell. But I ended up doing that anyway. But yeah, getting an S rank is a pain. It was really more of a pain by the time I got to Dante Must Die mode, which at that point you had to get 6,000 points just to even consider getting an S rank, and then also doing Hell in Hell difficulty, where at that point you have to almost essentially go through each mission without taking a hit. Because if you take a hit, then at that point the only option is to somehow score 5,000 points. Otherwise, going through the missions without taking a hit would basically double your score at the end of the mission. But it was some of the missions were doable, some of them was a pain because I had to do repeated playthroughs on it. Got some interesting things here. Well, I remember this one. Clear mission 11 without equipping a weapon set for Dante. Essentially having to go through the entire mission without using any weapons. And the only way to fight back would be using your Royal Guard. Although I would say this one could be a little bit easier if you just wait until you get Super Dante. Then you can unleash the full power of the Royal Guard infinitely. So you don't have to keep building up on the gauge. Then of course they had Bloody Palace, which is only one trophy, just beat Bloody Palace with all the characters. Astrobot VR mission is they took that rescue mission from the Playroom VR and kind of expanded into a full-on game. So I mean, you had to go through different worlds, saving bots, defeating the main bosses in each of the worlds. I'd say it's a pretty light-hearted game, and I would say it's like not a good starter game for VR. I guess really it's just doing the challenges, completing all the challenges in the game, or at least getting an S rank or 3 stars in all the challenges. That was kind of the only big thing to go for. But everything else, though, seems doable. Moss, another VR game where you control the mouse Quill on her adventure to save her uncle. And it's a pretty short game. I think it's like about an hour and a half long, but it has some unique things. Kind of a lot of interaction stuff with Will. And I think for the most part, it's just trying to find all the dust and all of the scrolls. I think that's kind of really it. I think those are the only more memorable things, honestly, I can think of. Get all the relic dust, get all the forgotten fragments. They eventually did add the Twilight's pack, which basically had the Twilight Garden area, which stuff here, but too memorable, honestly. All right, next one, Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted. I know there's been like a lot of updates for this game, but surprisingly, there's not any more trophies for the updates. But you can get jump scared. That's pretty easy to get. Eat a piece of candy, recreate the main stage show, find all the tokens, complete the prize counter, consume all possible edibles in game, find a hidden token, get a jump scare prize, finish the game, obviously, don't leave the office, strum Bonnie's guitar, pull 25 roaches off of Chica. For ages 3 and up, you're probably just eating a toy. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which the spiritual successor to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I would recommend this. Is probably one of the best games out there, and I do recommend it. But for the most part, a lot of it is just kind of accumulation, like completing the map, completing the item lists. Although, granted, completing the item list and the demon list took some time, as it does require you to really kind of go out of your way to like making like certain recipes for food and stuff like that. So that kind of requires it. Transmute items, open chests. Let's see, bounce on a certain chair repeatedly. A little bit of deja vu right there. A lot of it is just defeating certain bosses. Yeah, a lot of it is just defeating certain bosses and getting the multiple endings. But besides that, the only memorable ones again was just collecting all the stuff for the game itself, and I guess absorb every type of shard. Just reach level 50. Alright. Latest one. Modern Warfare. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the latest thing out here. A lot of the stuff was just campaign based. Again, there's no intel to work for. But I mean, it's just doing specific challenges for mission. Golden Path. Complete clean house without being hit. Without being hit using 1 bullet per threat. So only allow 1 bullet, no hits. It's a short mission to begin with anyway, so it's not too difficult. Okay. Never get hit, dodge a bullet, never get hit by the sniper while escaping captivity. Let's see, shut off the power to 4 buildings. That took some time. All the enemies without anyone calling for backup. Yeah, that one was a little bit challenging, as you got to sneak around the areas and not let anyone call for backup. Which, I mean, luckily you can technically restart from checkpoints. Special operations, just complete all the operations. Well, of course, at the time there was only four operations to deal with. I just want Blood and Truth. Yeah, Blood and Truth, another VR game where you're kind of going as kind of a I think you're going as like a CIA operative, and the whole goal is to try to avenge, I guess in a way, trying to uncover the truth that's been going around with your company, but also trying to avenge your family the same time. A lot of stuff's kind of a lot of crazy things go on here, but it's pretty unique. Using the DJ booth, yeah, like the devil horn jester being electrocuted. Kill all enemies escaping the collapsing tower after rescuing Anne. Let's see. Get to the secure office without being detected. Kill an enemy in the helicopter. Flip the bird, Tony. That's got some funny stuff right there. Shoot Tony in the balls. Recover from less than 5% health. Spin the pistol and then kill an enemy. It'll kill every weapon in the game except for the minigun. Right, this one took a while. Here, catch or pick up an enemy grenade and throw it back and kill them. Which it's a little bit tricky to try to do that. Yeah, achieve 5 or more precision kills in precision mode. 30 headshots. Get 5 stars for scoring any mission. Any mission, but the thing is though, in order to get the full arsenal, you basically have to 5-star every mission. Which, to really 5-star a mission, really the easiest thing is just getting kills. But I mean, there are other stipulations, being like getting complete as fast as possible, being as accurate as possible, but really you get the most points just by killing enemies, and you actually get the most points by getting headshots off of enemies. So I'd say that's the best strategy, just try going around getting nothing but headshots if possible. I mean, don't worry too much about time or accuracy, because those scores don't really matter too much in the end of it. It's really just the kills. Of course, hit every marksman target. Yeah, across every mission, there's like certain targets that you have to hit. Some of them are pretty close by to the character, and some of them are like far out in the distance, which you need like a magnifying glass, or I guess you need binoculars to really see. Then they have the expansions. Yeah, so it has some extra stuff. So they had the initial time attack stuff. Time attack 1, time attack 2, but then they added in the ski challenges. And of course, the only thing here, really, honestly, is just destroying all the gnomes in the ski challenges. But then they also had beating the game on hard mode that they added. Then the one I hated the most was the marksman challenges. One I hated was the gunslinger one. Win every duel in a single playthrough or quick draw, which I must have done that one like about 50 times, as I kept missing it. I think part of the problem is the tracking up from the camera to my my controller is not 100% precise, but the game itself also is not 100% precise to begin with. I mean, there are times the gun slightly drifts left or right, so it's just hard to really land shots. And honestly, I got to the point I ended up having to just use a controller for better accuracy. Anyway, it took so many attempts just to even get that one. And I mean, especially the point you have nothing but a revolver with 8 shots, and of course there are 8 targets, so you have to make every shot count. Then of course the latest thing was just the rhythm challenges, which I guess really is just getting a 4x multiplier in the rhythm challenge, which it's not too difficult as long as you have some sort of accuracy on your side. You're able to really pull it off. And of course, like I said, the last thing was the writ letter, the last answer, which trophy-wise, it's about the same. The only thing added here was the additional stuff, the arc answers, which essentially are kind of like bonus plots that take place after each of the endings. So it kind of gives you a little bit more of a story as to what happened afterwards. But that being said, that's all I have for right now. And this video is getting long as it is, but yeah, I'm still not done. I mean, eventually when time comes, I'm probably going for probably my next one would be Final Fantasy VII Remake. And unfortunately at this point, it has been delayed, but I can wait. No problem at that. I might consider actually also getting a couple more Vita games just to hold on time for it. But yeah, that's what I have right now. And obviously this trophy list is going to continue growing in the future, especially when the PS5 comes out. So there's that. I mean, it's kind of a good, really have a sense of accomplishment, really getting all these trophies, and I do like that. And it's hope for the future, a good future for PlayStation. And yeah, I guess hopefully get more games, better games, so that way get more trophies out of it. Alright guys, this is DevilHunterXYZ, and until next time.